can talk to the internet just fine, as we're doing right now, for a Glasshouse Films midnight review of Vice. Surprise! This will be like the third one this week. We're on a fucking roll right now. Woo!
No more for the next 3 weeks.
You're just saying that because you don't have to review Escape Room this next week.
I'm looking forward to that movie.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So yeah, we just got out of Vice, if you couldn't tell. And if you couldn't tell, then how did you navigate to here? So, I gotta say, Christian Bale, once again, transforms himself into another character.
Into a creepy old man.
Into a very creepy old
Not
man.
Like creepy, but just like...
yeah.
He's gotta breathe
He's the grumpiest individual you've ever seen. But yeah, I gotta say, it still is startling to me just how well he pulled off Cheney. I'm like, wait a minute, do they just have stock footage of Cheney lying around here or something? Because it's actually really good. I was surprised by how good of a job he did, and I really like Christian Bale, so it's not like, Tyler Perry's good in a movie. And then I also gotta say, Amy Adams just killed it as Lynn Ramsey. Lynn Ramsey. She's not the director of Wish You Were Never Really Here. Lynn Cheney. She also did a really good job, and I feel that the movie was exceptionally good at portraying their relationship as a very equal power balance. Because it very easily could have gone like, oh, Cheney's the man and he has the power, or it could have gone very Lady Macbeth with everything. And the way that it was very even keeled between those two, I mean, not only from the screenwriting, but I definitely think because they're two very talented actors who, are very evenly matched in this film. Now I got to say, I was expecting a little bit more The Big Short than what we got here, and that's not the movie's fault. That was just my expectation of it. And this film had little bits of that. Like there was maybe 2 or 3 small bits where it was aping the like Anthony Bourdain moments, or what was her name? Or Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad moments. There were a couple of those, but they were very small, and the movie didn't want to call a lot of attention to those moments. So the film ends up coming across more like I guess a serious mockumentary. Because, I mean, usually you think mockumentary, you think like this is Spinal Tap, shit like that. Yeah. But this one feels closer to just a serious mockumentary. And it is entertaining. It is definitely something that I don't regret having watched. But at the same time, I
felt like the movie was a bunch of cool little bits, but there was no overall point it was trying to make.
Yeah, apart from Cheney was a bad guy, but it's like, okay.
They don't even make that.
I didn't even feel like it was that. It was more like getting a look behind the wizard.
Yeah.
Because
seeing what's happening there.
I mean, the very end of the movie kind of is was he a bad guy?
Yeah, well, the very very end of the movie, what we're talking about is, I don't know, everything felt like I was watching Cheney, and that moment is when Cheney was actually talking to us, and you don't have a lot of Cheney talking to us. It's as you said, it's at the very end of the movie. The rest of it is, I guess, how you interpret it, how you look at things. And I think the movie was very clear in that, he maybe not so much evil, but more like the banality of evil.
Yeah. I think it was kind of hard to take it seriously because the movie did 2 really weird things that contradicted each other. And there was one pretty much kind of right at the start. Actually, they did it twice where they explicitly state hey, we don't really know how all of this went down. We're trying our best.
Yeah.
And then there's
the
part of the movie where they say this is objective facts. And you could take that as a kind of throwaway scene, but it didn't really feel like a throwaway scene, if you know what I mean. And that part was really weird to me because I'm like, well, I was kind of scratching my head, are we supposed to be taking this seriously, or is this just supposed to be kind of a funny story about a drunk guy who had to get his shit together?
Yeah, and I think that part of the issue is that the film doesn't make that choice.
Yeah,
It
toes
leaves
the
it
line.
too much in the audience's hands, which I'm fine with that, but then you have kind of it's not exactly a focused narrative because of that. And the film is unfocused does seem like the wrong word, but it's the closest I can come up with now.
It's one of those things where it feels like they tried to sort of make the movie feel like it wasn't just trying to shit all over Cheney.
Yeah.
But a couple things I'll point out is like the only time they show Obama, right, is like when
his inauguration.
Everybody's like cheering and they're all super happy.
Yeah.
And then they cut right back to like, oh, Cheney doing bad stuff.
Yes.
Where I felt like the direction the movie was going, like the better thing, because they make a point, and this definitely isn't a spoiler.
Yeah, if you don't know about this shit,
so
There's not really
just in one of the
life
title
is a
cards.
spoiler here.
Yeah, like
Okay.
yeah, it's real life mostly.
Yeah.
They make a point to say that everything that they did and all of the powers that they abused are still available to presidents today, and they make that point. And they try to like kind of skip forward to like they don't really talk about like Trump a whole ton. They just kind of show like some memey kind of videos. But I feel like a better direction for them to go sort of would have been like they show Obama is like the very brief scene. Everybody's like super happy. Then they pretty much jump forward 8 years back to Dick Cheney. When I feel like a better thing to do would have been like we kind of got more of the same, but with like a different face. Because that's what happened. Like,
yeah.
Just,
it kind of glosses
we
over.
Just moved from one country to another.
Yeah.
And did the same thing.
Bombings
and the
increased
kind of like,
stuff.
hey,
yeah.
Cheney's out, and then he kind of did what had to be done, and then that was the end of the movie. And you're like,
so,
well, you kind of went a weird way with it.
What's interesting about that to me is that we're now 8 years or 10 years past all that. But the thing is this movie and that stuff would have made a lot more sense if this had come out in like 2010.
Well, and the weird thing is that the movie focused a lot on the war, and then it just dropped it.
Yeah, that
right
I thought was
after
interesting.
Bush's presidency ended. It's like, well, we're still in it, man.
Yeah.
And they didn't show the transition at all. They just kind of made it sound like it ended with Cheney. But they just kind of give you the throwaway line like, hey, any president can do this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, dude, one still did. Like,
yeah.
Maybe two still did. One still did, and one is probably still doing.
Yeah, and I will say the way that they decide to cut with that is a little bit it seems a little weird. Disingenuous.
Yeah, it would have felt less disingenuous if they would have focused more on the not like war in Iraq parts of Bush's presidency.
Yeah.
They only focused on the war part, and then they just dropped it.
Yeah.
But we're still in that, dude. Like, we're not done with that.
And something that I think it's weird. I feel like this film either needed to be another hour of him as vice president, or cut out a lot more of him up and coming. Mm-hmm. And the thing is you got to kind of make a choice, because half the movie is him getting to that point, and then the other half of the movie is him as vice president, and then the end of the movie, which, I mean, there's a little bit more that's him after being vice president, and it's like, okay, you gotta spend more time with this thing. Yeah. Or you got to make it a series. Fuck it, and spend a lot more time dealing with this and talking about this.
Yeah, and that goes back to like what I said at the start. Like, I didn't know what the point was by the end, because I'm like, what are we getting? Is this a story about a vice presidency? Is it a story about this up and coming drunk man? Are we trying to make some sort of commentary on war? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
here?
very very
like,
scattershot.
There's some funny bits. There's some pretty funny parts of the movie.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, like I had my giggle. And then I was like, well, what did we just like watch though?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to get out of it?
I mean, I have an idea of what they want us to get out of it, but I didn't get that out of it. So it
kind of teased some stuff like, oh, presidents can do whatever they want. war is bad.
And then never brought up anything. Yeah, never
know,
really brought up consequences of that kind
like,
of stuff.
Like there's like little, like gay marriage.
Yeah.
You know, Cheeto president.
Yeah.
Like.
But whereas I think The Big Short was a lot more focused. They had it was a laser focus on exactly what they wanted to talk about, and they nailed it, absolutely. So this one it's more ambitious, and I think that, honestly, for what the movie was, I don't see how it could have been done better.
Yeah,
but
it's hard. It's hard to do that without like trying to make some super, like super right or super left argument.
Yeah.
Like, and if you try to just make it about the character, the more you try to make it about the character, even though is a real guy,
Yeah.
the more like fictionalized it becomes. And they even make a point in the movie. They have that scene where they're like, "We don't know how this conversation went down," and they make a joke out of it.
Yeah, that was a pretty
that's
good
like,
one.
It was like a good point to make. Is like the more you try to make it about the character and not just like the stuff we have on paper,
Mm-hmm.
the more weird and fictionalized it gets. And then you're just like, well, it's just a.
But then you're left just talking about the
we're just
facts, and it's
here.
like, okay, but what, we
yeah.
already know the facts. You're the lens for how we view these facts.
Mm-hmm.
Do your job. So it's really, I would ultimately call this a failed experiment, but I'm glad that the experiment happened. And I'm
like
glad that I saw the film.
Like a, mildly funny, like biopic,
Yeah. As I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I saw this movie. You definitely don't need to see it on the big screen. There's nothing nothing really gained with that one. Go see Into the Spider-Verse or Bumblebee on the big screen. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not angry that I spent the time in this film, but I'm more interested to see what everyone does beyond this. But I will say this film was also a great actor showcase, like we said at the top. Amy Adams is great. Christian Bale was great. Sam Rockwell.
Hilarious Bush.
Can I get a sitcom where Sam Rockwell is Bush?
I want you to be a fucking running mate, man.
Yeah. Oh, he nailed it, and I'm pissed, but he nailed it. I'm like, damn it. Oh, that was an inspired choice.
Very solid acting.
Yeah.
The Jeb Bush jokes.
Oh, all the Jeb Bush jokes. Oh, so when's Jeb gonna run for president? Yeah. Crash and your W in the background. I'm like, yeah, that was good. But yeah. So recommended, but catch it on Netflix or
This definitely seems like it'll be on Netflix. This seems like
Redbox
kind of movie.
Well, the last movie that we said seemed like a Netflix movie. Ooh.
Yeah. Holmes and Watson will not be on Netflix.
Yeah, they didn't even want it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Catch it on Redbox.
What I would actually be most interested in is listening to more a commentary track and getting more insights as to how these people felt about making the film and what they, because in this case it's almost what you didn't see and what you didn't hear is like, okay, well, why did you choose this and not this? And I'd love to get that insight.
I do want to hear the intent behind some of the scenes because the movie kind of did like a lot of cutaways to like
a lot of weird juxtaposition stuff.
And I kind of want to know what the reasoning behind some of that was because I don't think there were certain bits where I'm like, I don't know how connected to Cheney that is, or if we're just talking about like Iraq War bad after Iraq War good.
It was very intentional, but it's kind of hard to spot the intention.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to figure out like what they're trying to get, the viewer to think. And part of me hopes it's not like, whoa, we're trying to get you to think whatever you want, because then that's just lazy.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you're towing the political line.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So, yeah, interesting and definitely worth a watch eventually. And by eventually, rent it, see it on some streaming service.
Solid acting. Yeah. I just like.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, I was like, what was the message I'm supposed to get?
Yeah. So yeah, and then Friday is when the review will come out for Escape Room.
It's getting warm in here.
Oh, turn it up to 451. Yeah, great. Facebook.com/glasshousefilms, Twitter @glasshousefilms, YouTube.com/glassfilmshouse. We will see you for that. Bye.